Good morning. My name is Chelsea Barlow. I'm a board-certified naturopathic doctor. I specialize in bioenergetic medicine. I have a practice in Mansfield, Texas, which is in the heart of Texas, between Dallas and Fort Worth and a little south. So that's where I'm from. And I've been in practice for over 6 years. I went through Trinity and I have gone and developed specializations good morning, specializations, and just wanted to create because when you go through Trinity, if you go through Trinity, you learn a very broad, healthy base, but specializations are really important for those passions that God puts in your heart, right? And so I was led to several, and I wanted to make sure that I could communicate so that others that might want my specialization, it would be available to them, because mud packing is kind of hard to learn about. It's one company teaches it and you have to go through their system, and it's all about their products, which are great products, but I want this accessible to moms, dads. My teenage daughter knows how to mud pack proficiently. Because I'm thinking of emergency preparedness. So that's kind of my premise on why I wanted to teach this. But I have a platform for other practitioners who want to develop courses as well, to put their courses on along with mine. And you can, if you do that, you maintain your ownership over your course. It's a platform that hosts it. Someone described it like Match.com for practitioners. It's a hub where practitioners can develop courses, and then if you want to go, you'll see all these practitioners eventually. It's in development, it's new, and there's a few things on it right now, but it's going to be one of those places where it'll be a lot of opportunity to go follow a particular specialization in one spot. And it is called All Good Things Academy. All Good Things Academy. And that's why it's down here at the very bottom of this sign, allgoodthingsacademy.com. It will be the host home for MudWise, and that's where it'll be. So the course is on there a la carte, but we have start dates. So, because I want to be integrated and involved in the course with you as you go through it. Okay, so let me actually start with my notes now, because that was all just on the cuff. All right, here's a verse that really came out to me. Then the Lord God formed man of dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. So just as a strong Christian believer, I highly value that we were chosen to be formed out of the dust of the earth. There's something super significant about what we walk on, the dirt and the ground. So it's great for detoxification. It's great for grounding, getting those ions exchanged that need to get off of our body. It's fabulous for growing things. It's what nourishes us, because plants eat the rocks and then we eat the plants. There's so much to this soil that we live with, and I just wanted to appreciate that. But when I learned about mud packing, I realized it also does an energetic repositioning. Mud is phenomenal. So the first time I took a mud packing class, I wanted to go through the Premier Research Labs Mastery Series, and they are based in Austin, Texas, so it's a hop, skip, and a jump from my home in the Dallas area. I took the class, took mud packing. The best advice I ever got as a practitioner was, do this on Monday. I apply that to every modality I ever learned. Instantly start implementing it, because you will lose what you learned in class, right? And then I have a tendency to then get self-conscious about what I forgot, and then I slow down my use of the modality as I go along. So do this on Monday. Well, I have a daughter. She is here with me, so you can get a good look. But my daughter had been suffering from something called trichotillomania for a year. It is where you pull out hair. So a year before I learned to mud pack, she was at day camp with a bunch of Cub Scouts, and they threw down a watermelon Gallagher style, so it splatted, and a chunk of the rind came over and hit her in the eye. There was no bruising at all, So we couldn't see what was wrong, but her temperament flipped, and she was a very angry, fiery, angry, like, get back, kind of angry. And she went to bed with tears in her eyes. She was so mad about this watermelon. The next morning, we woke up, and she had pulled out every brow and lash and continued to do so for 1 year. I learned to mud pack. Do this on Monday came by in that class. So Monday, we are in my office, and her love language is quality time, girly girl, and especially with mom. So I mud packed her. We made sure not to shame her for this. I knew it was triggered by that watermelon, but I didn't understand what was going on. It had basically given her a bruiseless concussion, okay? And her symptom was pulling out brows and lashes. So we had the girly girl time. I did her downloads, which is something we offer at the booth. Downloads in itself is profound for several of my stories that I have. But then I went and mud packed the interference field. So downloads is opening up the energetic flow from the hands to the feet. The body prioritizes those highly, and so getting the energy to flow through those can help your body do some other important things. And it's one of those things, if we can get the body out of its own way, it can do what it was designed to do, right? And that's key to what I want you to understand about mud packing is getting the body out of its way so it can do what it was designed to do. We want to get the energetic field repaired so it can flow how it was supposed to. Okay, so I mud packed her, we went home. A few months after that, I gave myself a concussion. Not on purpose, but the van door, I pulled it down and it hit my head. And my temperament actually flipped, and I was kind of like Cecil the turtle. I was real slow internally. And I went home, and my family was a little concerned. I knew it was a concussion. I felt weird, but it wasn't severe. And I went the next day back to my office and mud packed. So I did my downloads, and then on here, it felt like a crush. And again, it was a bruiseless concussion. Okay, not a hard hit, but man, it got me in that sweet spot. So I felt it on my head, and it got really warm at one point, and then I felt it pop out. All of a sudden, I felt all this relief through here. Then I understood what my daughter had been experiencing for a year. She had been trying to relieve the dent in her biofield by pulling out brows and lashes. So that's when I went, I need to keep doing this for a long time, because so many things can be uncomfortable, or there can be some things that don't ever get the energetic feed it needs through these injuries. So a few months after that, my dad said, Mariah, when did you stop pulling out your brows and lashes? And this is key. She said, I don't know. It didn't occur to her that she stopped pulling them. It didn't occur to her because she no longer felt the need to tug. And if you've met her, she's at the MudWise booth. She's beautiful. She's got the beautiful brows and lashes, and she looks like mine, So I really, it's like, oh, she looks like me. But the brows and lashes are all back. And for a year, she looked like Mona Lisa, just bald through here. Just one of those awkward years for her, and it was an injury from a piece of watermelon at camp, okay? So another thing that I realized mud packing was pretty amazing was over 10 years ago, my husband actually got that flesh-eating bacteria in his lower left leg. And he had, we don't know where he got it, but he had 10 surgeries, lots of debridement, and he had 2 skin graft surgeries. So he has skin grafts on top of muscle, and there's lots of staples. You are an empath through and through, aren't you? You are feeling these things. So he's got staples in there. Some of them the doctor couldn't get out because the skin had grown over them by then. You don't want to damage new skin. Well, there was one that was on his ankle bone, and he wears boots to support him. And this ankle bone area kept getting infected. And, antibiotics can do so much. And yeah, we were using them because don't want him to die from a bacterial infection, which almost killed him. So he was on antibiotics, and we could tell that it improved. The infection was improved. And it's not MRSA, it was actually strep A, and Pseudomonas is what he got. So that's the same as sore throat, strep A, but it was in the tissue and it killed the tissue. So the doctor couldn't get that staple out. It was too deep. So he said, we're going to have to put you under anesthesia to get the staple out. And we didn't want, that was a lot. He had already undergone 10 surgeries. So I took him to my office, and we had a babysitter that only had so much time. So all I had time to do were his downloads, which is something we offer at the booth this weekend. All I had time to do was downloads. So I took a before picture, did his downloads, took an after picture, and we ran home because the babysitter was about to turn into a pumpkin. You know, the Cinderella story. Everything was about to expire. So we ran home, and we put him in an Epsom salt bath. And then a few minutes later, while he's in the bath, he sticks his foot out, and I see the staple sticking out of his ankle. It was not in the before picture. And I didn't realize it till my son pointed it out, but it was in the immediately after picture. However, 30 minutes after that, it was out way further. So doing his downloads, it strengthened his body to push it out. And the next day, the surgeon was able to just take it out. I wasn't going to do it. I'm not a surgeon. But we had the surgeon do it. And I knew exactly where it was. And it was just really simple. My husband had instant relief and healed rapidly. Okay, so just doing the downloads, some people have had, this sounds scary. I was scared. A blood blister form on their foot. This one person I'm thinking of. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Take the mud off. You know, it was real scary. Well, it felt good. Didn't feel bad. And she popped it, and a sliver of glass had come out of her foot. She didn't even know was in her foot. Her body, just doing downloads, had enough energy to kick it out. Just sitting there putting mud on your hands and feet for about an hour and a half can do profound things. So it's been pretty exciting to watch all the creative ways all the really neat ways of how mud can affect the body internally. So I want to share a story about one of my students in a live class that I hosted in the Dallas area. We were just doing the downloads, and she started to feel pretty sick. Then we started noticing a really strange odor, and it smelled like electrical fire. We were thinking the building was on fire or something. No, it was around this woman. And she started exhaling. How long ago had it been, Sandy? Several years, if not close to 15. I mean, it was a long time ago. She was a flight attendant, and the airplane had an electrical fire. And she is still breathing out. So downloads was helping some of that to expel out of her lungs. The electrical fire, we were smelling it and we were calling it. And we actually had to do some energy work on her to get her to kind of bounce back. And that was just downloads. I mean, downloads can be really profound. So I don't want to minimize downloads, but downloads are typically a pre-step. They're supposed to be where it gets the body ready for the energetic adjustment. However, sometimes that is an energetic adjustment, and a profound one. So my phone keeps locking, y'all, I'm sorry. So downloads are just getting the body ready for the energetic adjustment. It also enables your body to receive things like chiropractic adjustments better. Your body is more able to hold those when you have these things corrected. Okay, so when we're talking about interference fields, that is the ultimate goal of MudWise, is to teach you how to correct interference fields. I'll repeat again, downloads, if I hadn't said it already. Downloads is a process of opening up the energetic pathways of the hands and feet. Energy flows in and out of them. Your body, your brain highly prioritizes them along with the tongue, and they get congested. We hold our cell phones, we're on laptops, we're in a Wi-Fi world, lotion. The energetic flow is limited and congested through our hands and feet. So we get those open and flowing. Then we work on interference fields, so like the concussion, the eye, My husband's ankle is actually an interference field, but we didn't even address it as an interference field. We did his downloads, but his whole leg and the top of his other leg where there were donor sites, they're all interference fields. So the interference fields are where you had the injury, okay? So please raise your hand for this part. Okay, raise your hand if you, a client, your clients or loved one have ever experienced any of these, okay? Surgery, hard hits, okay. Tattoos. I don't have a tattoo, my clients do, and loved ones. Concussions, okay. Broken bones, blood draws, dental work, injections. Okay. All right. So those are biofield injuries. With younger children, sometimes they actually bounce back very easily. What happens is when we are nutrient deficient, our body has a lot of trouble popping those dents back out once they get them. If you think of like a crushed soda bottle and you crush it again and it pops out those dents, that's what we're doing. We're compressing to pop out the dents with the mud. So mud is focusing energy so that it can actually realign the way it's supposed to flow. All right. One of the things that we do, and it's a very important assignment, is called body mapping. Well, I have a chart, and this is part of the homework in the MudWise course, is of the body. And the first thing you do is you mark all the places where you remember being hurt or having surgery or vaccines or injections, blood draws. You mark all those places and you label them. The next thing that we do is go back over that, and if you remember a significant emotion tethered to that. And this is one of the things where I expand the course off of what I was originally taught. We're broadening the concept because of my clinical experience. This needs to be covered. So I had a client that had a head injury, and she didn't know where it came from because we had already mud packed everything. This was a super compliant, she was all in on mud packing because her C-section scar wouldn't heal for 13 years. It didn't heal right until she mud packed. Next day it was fine. And that happened several times. C-section scars that don't heal, biofield injury is interrupting the healing process. But she had this new mysterious interference field on her head. She had just had gallbladder surgery, so we were going to mud pack that, but checked her head because head is high priority. And sure enough, there's an interference field. So we mud pack it. She has total recall while the mud's on her head. While she's in surgery, a lamp hit her in the head. So it must have, like someone tripped on it, but it hit her. And it was a bruiseless injury, but it was a biofield injury. So there's recall. Some of my students have dealt with trauma. One of the women in a group she was raped, and it was violent, and she was cut. And so not only are we dealing with biofield injuries and trauma injuries, but there's an emotional trauma. And as I progress through my learning and education, I'm also realizing that God gifted people with the ability to disassociate with trauma and park trauma with one of their parts and then present and function with others. But this one might be somebody that pops up during mud packing. So we need to be able to refer those clients to someone that is able to nourish and help that part heal of that person. But we want to make sure that we are taking care of the whole person, even when mud packing. It's not just slapping some mud on somebody. There's really a whole person in there and all the parts that they're dealing with. So we want to keep that in mind. I'm somebody you can refer to if you feel like you're not ready to handle that part. You could always send them my way, or I can send them to some people that I can network with. Okay, one of the things, body mapping also is good for discovering possible patterns. So when we body map on this chart that we'll do in the course, you're going to see like an injury here, an injury here, an injury here. Well, I had one student, a practitioner student, she had 4 or 5 injuries on her gallbladder meridian. When I looked over our chart, I went, oh my goodness, how's your gallbladder? And she said, I'm constantly having to take care of it. She was constantly having trouble with it. So relieving the gallbladder meridians gives her body the ability to handle the gallbladder more efficiently and effectively. So that's another reason why we do body mapping. It's real important to do that. All right. Some of the emotions that we can work with, we can add in essential oils or Bach flower essences into the mud. I've done that several times where if they do identify a particular emotion and it's not something that, it might be something simple as using Bach flower essences in their mud and maybe even in their mouth while they're doing it. Okay. Another area that we will talk about in MudWise is dental. So we will do dental mapping. Any dental surgeries, fillings, that kind of thing, and you can mud pack because I don't want to assume, but all of our teeth, I don't want to assume you know, but all of our teeth are connected to our organs and systems. So if there's something going on like right here, like if I had a bat hit me right here when I was a kid, those are kidney teeth. Okay, so we want to mud pack there and it might nourish those kidneys to be able to have that energetic flow like it's supposed to again. Okay. So ongoing meridian complications can also come from the mouth. So we address the mouth with mud in this course as well. Okay, so how do we test for interference fields? Well, we also test for downloads, although I typically assume they all need to be opened. Unless someone is actively doing mud packing, it's really easy to just assume they all need them. But you can test for downloads and you can test for interference fields. With downloads, I usually do a muscle testing, but I use these 2 fingers, and this is the QRA method with the 2 fingers, but I will put 2 fingers in the palm and the hand. So downloads we do in the quadrants, so it's the front right, front left, and then back right and back left. Okay, and doing it in quadrants instead of all at once gives your body time to adjust and adapt and rest. Adjust, adapt, rest. Adjust, adapt, rest, and adjust, adapt, rest. So that's really, really important. However, when we do interference fields, I don't use these 2 fingers to discover them. I use a pinky. So we've got structural. This is how I label the fingers: structural, nutritional, emotional, biofield. Okay. So I would love to demonstrate on somebody. Would anybody? Come on. Good. Tell me your name. Hope. I feel good just saying her name. Do you have any injuries on your hand, this hand?
No.
No, okay, so your strength is okay? Okay, so I typically, when I'm working with a client, I use the bidigital O-ring method. There are several ways you can muscle test, and if you don't know about muscle testing or the variety of ways you can, that is also taught in the course. I teach several, and there's even more ways than that to do it. So I learned a new one that I call Fonzie, and it's where your thumb tips, but I call it Fonzie. So it shows my age, right? Okay, so I do this where I put the thumb and usually the ring finger together, and what I want to do is make sure I can get a small break, because we don't want to exhaust the person. A small break, and I want to do it 3 times just to get a baseline of what her strength is, okay? And I want a circle, not a teepee, and not a heart, so a circle. And I will snuggle in some fingers, and I'm going to be using these muscles to pull apart. I'm not using these or the back, I'm using these. All right, I'm going to do 3 times. 1, 2, 3, that's the baseline. Okay, that's your strength. So I would like you to put 2 fingers right here in the palm of your hand. This would be testing for downloads, okay? And it opens up very easily, right? That means that the front quadrant needs to be opened. Let's go back here to the back of your hand. The back quadrant needs to be opened as well. And then you can go to the other side, get the baseline again. Pretty much everybody's going to need all 4 quadrants open, unless they've been mud packing extensively, and then they might need 1 or 2. Okay, now, where was your injury that you had in mind, a Biofield injury?
Probably, you said your teeth.
Dental work, okay, all right. So touch with your pinky an area that has not been injured, like perhaps your shoulder.
Okay.
All right. Do you see how strong you are? Okay, now go to where your dental work is. Okay, she can't hold it together. Okay, so mud packing, that's how you find those invisible interference fields. Okay, that's how you find them, is muscle response testing. And you can find that you fixed them with the same technique. So once we are done with all her mudding and have done her dental mud packing, that will be strong just like the shoulder was. Okay? So using the pinky to test for Biofield injuries, I'm going to do a technique. Okay, use your pinky and go over here. Okay, that's fine. Go over here. Fine. Go down here. Oh, it might have been something when you were really little. Okay, so some people don't know where their injuries are. Using this technique, you can discover some. Okay, so back here, she might have hit her head when she was a little girl and it didn't recover. But that is going to be a high priority. The head is the high priority when we're mud packing. That is the first thing we do once the downloads are done. The reason why is so much comes off the head, meridian-wise, so we want to make sure that that is done. Dr. Marshall, who was my mentor in this modality, y'all play along with me, okay? Your modality, he told us that if the head is off, you will always need supplementation. That's how you will always need actually heavy supplementation for life. Once you get those head points on, then your body is able to adapt more and you can use less and less supplementation. So who here likes to take 80 pills a day, 80 supplement pills? I won't do it. I won't, okay? Head points are really important. And that was why that client that had the mystery head injury, she wanted me to check her head. She was very smart to say, hey, would you check my head while we're here, just in case? And sure enough, there was a doozy on her head. She said she hadn't felt right since. Then she got in a car accident after that, and she had all kinds of interference fields. But she knew instantly after that car accident, I need mud on me right now. Okay, so she was very smart. Let's see, do you have any other areas that you can think of?
This finger.
Okay, so I can test it because she needs to use that hand. I can't, so here's where knowing multiple muscle testing comes in handy because I can't use her hand and the other one test the finger next to it. Either way, I'm kind of in trouble, so it's this finger. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to use my pinky and this. So, fine, that. Yep, and sure enough, that finger needs mud. Okay, so this is, oh, good grief. I'm thinking of the vul points, but I can't remember what that is. I want to say allergy, but I don't think it is. Anyway, so there's different points. I don't memorize, I use my reference materials. My brain thinks in pictures instead of data, but that would need mud packing. Some other areas, thank you so much, appreciate you, Hope. Some other areas that might need to consider, surgeries that are laparoscopic, they're still doing a lot on the inside. Okay, they're moving things around quite a bit. And so even laparoscopic surgeries, women who had episiotomy tears and repairs, those need to be mud packed as well. And it's really simple. You're sitting on mud. And of course, I always give the woman complete privacy, and she can take care of that. She just needs the instructions on where to put the mud. So when we mud pack, we always use at least 2 sites. It's not just putting mud on the head, it's putting mud on the head and a reflex point. So that is one of the reasons why I really need to teach you how to do it, because you want to get the biggest advantage between the injury and where the body is going to help pull that dent out the best. So mud in two places, it's like putting your hands on that Coke bottle in two places. Technically, we're putting mud in at least 3 places because we take a capsule, we take the Alaman FX, and there's a mud pack in our stomach. So we're going at it from 3 dimensions, really, in the way I picture it in my head. So does anybody else want me to test their Biofield? Come here. So what's going on with you?
Well, I have several injuries.
You have several injuries.
Car accident, 1978, C5, C6.
Okay.
Broke my 5th metatarsal, and several abdominal surgeries.
Several abdominal surgeries.
Including cancer.
Including cancer. Where was the cancer?
In my right
The
groin.
okay, lymphatic
It was
area.
uterine cancer.
Uterine cancer. Okay. So
10
there's
years
a
after a hysterectomy.
after a hysterectomy.
God has a sense of humor.
And you're still here.
Because he has other things for me to
He
do.
has other things for you. Okay. All right. So I do prefer the bidigital O-ring method when I'm testing somebody else because it doesn't exhaust their arm and shoulder. They're like, I can't hold that. You know, there's enough shock value for their compliance and understanding of they are now weaker just from touching that area. So I really do appreciate this method quite a bit. Hold this as strong as you can 3 times. Okay. Use your pinky and touch an area that is not injured. How about right there? Strong as you can. Not injured. Okay, go to your head where the car hit you. Pinky. Is your pinky on it? There we go. Oh. Okay.
1978.
1978.
Scar tissue.
So that's 50 years ago? Is that? No. 40 years ago. I'm like, I'm not 50 and I was born before then. So 40 years ago, 41 years ago. Okay, let's go to another part of your head. Let's do over here. That's also an interference field. You may not have hit this part, but there's something that's called a coincidental interference field where it can cross through your body and the other side can have an interference field as well. And so sometimes mud packing the immediate part, sometimes that will relieve the coincidental field, but you need to check for those. And I talk about that in the course. But you may need to mud the other side of your head as well.
We'll just do a...
Yeah.
a
Why don't we
self-treatment.
just jump into a mud bath, right? That's what, and I would love to do that, but it does something different. It's not the same thing. So we are using palm-sized patches. Go ahead and open your hand. Her palm. My palm is Patrick's palm. My palm is significantly larger than her palm. We want to use palm-sized patches of mud according to the client. My 7-year-old, her patches are a lot smaller, right? So it's according to the client. Her palm-sized patches, bit by bit. Let's say your entire abdomen was an interference field. I like to do a checkerboard method where I start in the center and then I skip a palm size and go around it, and sometimes it will save a ton of mud packing by going to every other interference field, and sometimes the whole thing will just pop out because one had it released. So I like to save money and time. And so that's a way of having a little bit more efficient rather than thinking, oh my goodness, I have to do 15 mud packs just on my abdomen. Okay, so we can do a little time saving with that sometimes, actually usually. So that's good news, right? Let's do where your incision for surgery.
Okay, so pinky.
Pinky. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. You can roam around. You can also determine the size of how big the Biofield injury is, because you can muscle test, and then suddenly it'll get strong, so you know you're at the border. And then you can gauge how big it is with that.
Okay.
So that's still out. That's still out. That's still out. And there it is. Goes all the way. Hers is going all the way around to her back side. So I would start in the center, and then I'd go here, and then I'd go here, and then the whole thing would probably pop out.
And then would you also do checkerboard lower then?
Yeah.
Or-
You could map out the border of that whole area and then do that checkerboard pattern to help release that. So, and let's go back to a place that you hadn't been injured. How about right there, as strong as you can? Yeah. She's strong. She's not weak. That area turns her very weak when she's touching it.
Okay, so I don't know if I can get my pinky to the vaccination site.
That's okay.
Okay.
That surprises me, but that's okay. However, when you got that, you might have been young enough to bounce back. It may not have been significant enough, or they may not have put as many toxins in it then as they do now.
Yeah, the 50s were a little.
Although Salk wouldn't give it to his grandchildren, and he wouldn't do that. So, but that is doing okay. So over time, your body may actually adapt, but let's get our body adapted and corrected far before it. So when you have head injuries, your body's got this hitch in its get along. I mean, it is just constantly compensating, constantly trying to get around to get the energy to those organs and systems and glands. It's like a kinked garden hose. You've got too much flow here and not enough here, and your body's really struggling to get what the energy needs. So let's open that up, get that flow going the way God designed it, and then your body can get back to doing what it was designed to do and heal itself. Go back into homeostasis. Go back into rest and relax and repair.
So when I was in 7th grade, somebody pulled my chair out from under me in band, and I fell on my backside.
Okay.
So would you mind checking my let me get my the tailbone.
It's off. It's off big time. You have a lot of interference fields, a whole bunch of them. Now, when I did my C-sections, I had 5 C-sections, an open appendectomy, and then it dehisced because there was 5 C-sections before, and so we had to go with the wound vac. This scar on my tummy was significant, and when I put mud, I did downloads, I did a few other interference fields, and then worked on this, and this was while I was in the course when I first learned it. I got so dizzy. When you get dizzy, take it off. It's not something your body's ready for. If you start to feel nauseous, do not push through and soldier on, because your body is saying, I'm not going to adapt to this right now. I'm going to react to it. Well, that's not rest, relax, repair. Okay, that's fight or flight. So you pull the mud off, you rest, and then you come back to it. Next time I went back to it, I was fine. I was fine, and I got that in, and it was a few days later. I got back to that interference field and did really well. In fact, I only needed 1 on that area, and the whole area cleared up. So think about what I just said. Putting mud on my body made me dizzy. And just palm-sized patches, 2 palm-sized patches, made me dizzy. It's doing some major things. And so MudWise will teach you start to finish what mud packing is, why, what it isn't. It is not a detox, even though it does do detox. Thank you, Sandy. It isn't a cure for a disease. It is you giving your body the ability to do what it was designed to do by getting its hiccups out of the way, resolving those hitches in your get-alongs. It's my Texas language. So that's what it does. And then I teach you muscle response testing if you don't know it. I teach you the how, the why of testing for that. We talk about special considerations. Then we start body mapping. We do emotion mapping. We do dental mapping. We talk about how to do the downloads. We talk about interference fields. We talk about how to mud in the mouth. And then the after mud packing care. So MudWise will go for 5 weeks. 2 videos will be released each Sunday, but you could watch them on Thursday if you need to. But I will be live in the group interacting with you as questions come up. As those things come up, I'm going to be present. Even though the videos are pre-recorded in my office, I'm present, so I'm not disconnected from the whole thing, okay? And I really enjoy being with the community while, being with y'all when we do this together. I learn a ton from you. So it goes from 5 weeks, November 17th. It'll finish the week before Christmas. It is not heavy homework. You will learn how to do it. We are going to develop a practitioner. Thank you. You can stay here, or but I'm done testing.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. I just started talking. We are going to develop a practitioner certification if you want to go that route. No one is required to be certified in MudWise. However, if you do get certified, you're going to have me as a coach going over like 10 of your clients. While you're mud packing them, we're going to review the body map and what you did, your process, so that I can verify that, okay, she's got this, she's really got it, he's got it. We're going to do a test, and then, so there's going to be some coaching, one-on-one coaching, and then we're going to offer branding. Did y'all like the branding at my at the booth? Okay, well, I'm going to thank Sandy Harvey over there for that. She made me cute. So she does branding consultation, and that is part of the practitioner certification package, is branding and like bringing this to your clients so they understand it, and your information being on this so that it's you that's getting marketed. Okay, so and even we can even do some video interviews where it helps you send that to your clients. So as with me talking with you about the work that you're doing. So there's really a lot of benefits to having that certification. No one's required to have that to incorporate this into their practice just by taking the course. Okay, so I want to offer that. Today, the sale is $197 at the Expo. The course is normally $247. So you're saving $50 if you join. And we've got that where we can sign you up at the booth. Two of the things that we offer at the booth is where we can do your downloads for you. It takes about an hour and a half. You get real estate on a zero gravity chair for about an hour and a half. And my daughter, Mariah, with the eyes, is most likely the one that will be putting the mud on you. We also have it where I can send you a video portion of the course for downloads, and I can send you home with enough mud and the capsules that go in your tummy to get you your downloads done at home. So I can email you the video and you can take home the bag if you want to do that. So those two things are available at the booth other than signing up for the course. Do I have any questions?
Give me an idea what you mean by download. I don't.
Okay.
This is on.
Okay, the downloads are with the mud. The mud is opening up the energetic flow. So, and your brain prioritizes hands, feet, and the tongue highly. And so this is a huge adjustment and a refresher. It opens the body up energetically, and the body can adapt to those energetic flows. So let's say I just slapped mud on the interference field and the reflex point, but I didn't open up the downloads. The body may have trouble adapting to that adjustment, and it may not stay. So doing this long extended process before doing the interference fields helps the body do that adjustment really well. And then even if these get congested again, because they do, these will go out frequently. But if you have them open while you do the interference field adjustment, this holds, and then the body just kind of, you might do refresher downloads every month or so. Yes?
I was just going to say that in some of our classes, we have had people, just the downloads has been quite a shift, especially among practitioners. They find that it does open up some energetic sensitivity. We have people who's like, wow, I've never felt that before, but now I can feel things in my hand as far as being sensitive to energy, you know, what's going on, which has been a tremendous benefit as a practitioner. So I just wanted to make that point that that is definitely an additional benefit for anyone, but especially if you're a practitioner.
Especially an energy worker. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Are there any contraindications? People who should not be mud packed?
I haven't had one yet. I haven't had one. In fact, you can med pack. By the way, this is, I think, phenomenal and cool. Phenomenal is my word today. Did y'all catch that? All right. Amputees. How do you mud pack an amputee? Well, they've got phantom pain. There's probably a hitch in that energetic get along, right? So let's say they use a prosthetic leg. You can actually put mud on the prosthetic leg because you're not actually doing it to the tissue. You are working with the biofield. It is in the field where the tissue used to be, but the energetic field is still there. so you can get that flow going through that area. Again, you don't have to put mud on the tissue to correct the biofield.